Hello, MO221 class. This is Team 6 here with Ashley, Lucian, Chendo, Jack, Denise, and Yifeng, and today we're here to show you our findings from China Southern Airlines. So this is our presentation snapshot. It's basically going to be a guide for you guys to follow as you move through our presentation. So as you can see, the first thing here is the company background. This is basically going to explain what kind of company they are and as well as what kind of services they provide. It also will explain goals they try to achieve and culture they also try to create. Now we're going to move on to our four main findings. So first is motivation handling. This is basically what CSAIR managers do when they find employees are not as motivated as they would like to be. It also would explain how to give the right level of motivation, as sometimes giving too much motivation can lead to employees being too overworked. The next is incentives. This is where we found a very interesting CSAIR incentive reward program that we would like to explain to you guys, as we believe that it is quite effective in achieving high amounts of motivation for employees. Then we move on to the second part, which is feedback and communication. For feedback, we all know that managers have a hard time explaining what an employee can do better. So we kind of asked how CSAIR handles these tough conversations, and through those conversations pushes an employee to review their actions and improve constantly over the time they spend there. The next is communications. So we all know that communication is really important to handling conflicts. And so we wanted to share CSAIR strategies and what the managers do to communicate their ideas effectively and get everyone to have their opinions heard. And finally, we arrive at the conclusions. We basically wanted to summarize all our findings here and explain what we learned that we use to improve our own teamwork, and hopefully using our findings, maybe it can improve your teamwork as well. So I'm sure many Chinese students here in BU know what China Southern Airlines is, but for those who don't, here is a small background on the company. So this is an airline headquartered in Guangzhou and is actually known as one of China's big three airlines, along with Air China and China Eastern Airlines from 1988. It is actually the world's sixth largest airline, measured by passengers carried, and Asia's largest airline in terms of fleet size, revenue, and passengers carried. Furthermore, this airline operates more than 2,000 flights to more than 200 destinations daily, and also has a partnership with American Airlines, which I'm sure more of us are more familiar with. For culture, this airline mentions Sunshine China Southern and connecting the world to create a better life, which exemplifies its devotion from carrying passengers worldwide. Furthermore, it also has core values of diligence, practicality, inclusivity, and innovation. Another cool thing that we picked up is that CSAIR, which is short for China Southern Airlines, actually shows their focus in customer, staff, advantage, innovation, and return.
According to what we've learned in class, there are two types of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic. Both parts were mentioned in our interviews with China Southern Airlines managers. Most of our managers view intrinsic motivation, which focuses mainly on the recognition of personal value, as a very important factor that determines employee performance.
They provided two main approaches to intrinsically motivate their employees that can further apply to our teamwork. The first one is relocation. It is basically assigning tasks to people based on their skill sets. If someone finds the task doesn't fit their skills, they should be relocated or assigned to other tasks that they are more confident in doing.
Applied to our current team and future teamwork, relocation can help build a very effective team since it helps regain confidence in a very quick way and saves time and energy. So when there's not enough time for a certain project, relocation would be the fastest way to motivate our teammates or employees.
The second approach provided by the managers was to find the cause of demotivation. This is different than the first one that it focuses more on the mental part. Actually, most of our interviewees considered this as the best way to motivate people and said they would find the specific reason as soon as they realize the motivation loss among their employees.
We found that it is critical for us to find the cause of the lack of motivation because if motivational tools are applied under wrong circumstances, they can unexpectedly backfire. As the Four Motivation Traps article says, wrong strategies can further decrease motivation. So, when we become managers in the future and find our employees lose their motivation, the first action we should take is to dig out the root of the problem instead of applying random strategies. For example, if the employee is struggling with disruptive emotions, which makes them too upset to do their work, we as managers should actively listen to their concerns and let them feel they are heard and understood. Although process loss may happen, a cohesive relationship between managers and employees can be developed through communication and care, therefore boosts individual motivation and performance.
In promoting extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, China Southern Airlines has a complete reward system that gives bonus or promotion opportunities to best perform individuals or teams.
Indeed, reward is the simplest and easiest way of encouragement. The presence of a clear reward mechanism avoids the need of extra supervising because employees will perform their best in exchange of incentives. In terms of current teamwork experience, we can set progressive goals up front, then host small parties or other kinds of celebrative activities, like go out together for lunch whenever a short-term goal is achieved. This is able to relax the team from the previous stress so that we will be more energetic and encouraged to move on to the next task. China Southern Airlines also applied the expectancy theory we learned in class to the management structure of their operation to get their employees motivated.
In order to increase PDL expectancies by measuring performance accurately, the reward system of China Southern Airlines became the main resource for the performance feedback. The system collects evaluations of the employees from different parties, like the leaders and peers, to provide those being evaluated with a comprehensive and thorough report.
The leaders will give top-down feedback to their direct subordinates to point out if they're on the right track. Peer-to-peer evaluation among colleagues, however, is more about displaying the work environment and detail-oriented. Both evaluations form the solid base for employees to get to know their personal performance and aimed for the increasing management stability and boost individual potential.
To increase outcome balances, all the rewards or punishments of the system are valued on a grade basis. Each employee's performance will be shown as a letter grade from A to F, and each represent a different type of result. The reward system, frankly, is all about incentives, both positive and negative ones.
The positive incentive, for example, if the employee gets a letter grade of A or B, it is likely for him or her to earn a promotion or bonus. Instead, if you get an F, it is possible to get demoted or even fired. All the rewards are individualized based on their position and department, and the system is all transparency and fair. So this mechanism works well under the China Southern Airlines management and is expected to bring more changes to the company. This mechanism is quite similar with the one we are currently using in MO 221. We have the TLA platform to do the peer-to-peer evaluation for our teammates. This evaluation also provides all the team members with a quantitative report as all our performance has been graded on a scale of 1 to 5. All team members are also given comments on their personal skills and contribution to the teamwork.
The reward system of China Southern Airlines and the TLA platform are mediums for me to get to know myself better and understand how I can do better. The only possible difference is that the business world is much crueler. I will face severe consequences if I get a really low grade in the evaluation. But compared to now, I will probably only get a low grade. The interview helps me to take a glimpse at the real world and get prepared for the professional ones.
As a leader, it is important to get the subordinates motivated by applying either intrinsic or extrinsic motivators and clearly state their expectations as the guidance. As an employee or team member, we should proactively improve personal strength and be ready for what we should do.
Do you have any experience to provide, Jack?
We have to provide feedback really often in Questrom, and it will be the same in the workplaces. Our team knows a lot of people struggle when a team member performs below standards and we're in the position to get feedback. It is really a pain to even initiate such conversation, so we're extremely curious on how the successful managers in China Southern Airlines dealt with individuals in this situation. All managers surprisingly gives us the same answer on how to initiate the conversation, which is to create a comfortable environment. But remember, the approach you take to do it is extremely important. One of the managers we interviewed said that she would start with what the employee has improved on. This is very common when we get feedbacks, because we do not want to offend our teammates. Both in OB221 and SM131, I've heard members present the contributions of the underperforming individual first, praise him or her a bit, then say what the individual did not accomplish well, which seems like a feedback sandwich. We strongly suggest that the individuals should stop doing this because HBR says employees, or in this case, teammates, are likely to discount your positive feedback, believing it's not genuine. What you really should do is to start with what the individual has done wrong, give him or her an opportunity to respond to the concern. This is straightforward and it avoids offending the individuals because they get a chance to voice their opinions. Now, my teammate Chen could provide you with another aspect on feedback.
Yes, Jack. I think it is important to avoid spending too much time on what the individual has done wrong and make it future focused instead. Remember, the past is in the past. Keep mentioning the wrongs would make individuals feel judged. For instance, I missed a meeting once because I had class late at night, which made me exhausted and could not wake up the second morning. When my teammates gave me feedback rather than criticizing my mistake, they provided me suggestions saying that I could have informed them of my schedule and asked them whether we could reschedule the meeting. It was much easier for me to digest their suggestions and move toward the change. Other than feedbacks, I also want to talk about conflicts which can arise from misunderstandings. When I asked Manager Wang about how he usually did to solve a misunderstanding problem, he replied with one word: communication. 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 More specifically, effective communication. Misunderstandings may be one of the most common starts of a conflict. One give an example that one manager claimed that workers should spend more time to increase output, while another manager asserted that workers should spend less time avoiding being overloaded to decrease the chance of having accidents. He told both managers that they should make a concession through communicating with each other. We all know the rest of the story. They get the feedbacks from each other and they take a step back. After that, they were much more open to different ideas than before, which made the team more united. Moreover, it also builds strong interpersonal bonds as they start to trust each other, which increase the team cohesiveness.
In our team, we encountered issues regarding communication. When we were editing our paper, Lucian and I wanted Chen to adjust his content. We mentioned that he did not use appropriate sources for an academic paper, and he felt offended because he put a lot of time into it. So he told us that we're too harsh on him, and he was frustrated. However, after realizing his concerns, we started to explain that we felt sorry if our comments were offensive, because we just wanted our paper to be more professional, and we apologized if we sounded pushy. Then he started to understand that we were providing suggestions for him to improve, so that we could end up with a better grade, rather than disregarding his effort. After the meeting, he found more sources that better fit the paper. This type of conflict is common, and when it's followed up with proper communication and resolved, it can strengthen team cohesiveness. Throughout the semester, our team has generally done well. yet still faced conflicts occasionally. And I realize it's sometimes unavoidable. Without communication, that hidden discontent could eventually lead to greater problems. In the future, I suggest everyone to move towards the conflict, as it's mentioned in Cohen's TED Talk. Let the parties express their opinions, then just talk. Conflict is normal, and remember, communication is the best way to solve it.
Every team has their own lessons from their own interviews and projects. However, for Team 6, one quote from CSAIR manager Wang Lulu has a profound impact on us the most. During her interview, she says, sometimes a team is like a family. They fight, but they fight for a greater good. We've had our own team troubles, from communication problems, conflicts, and even motivation problems at one point. However, we've learned from each struggle and grown stronger as a team because of it. This interview project was indeed challenging, but we've learned a lot about how MO221 concepts apply to the real world, and even more importantly, about ourselves as a team member during the process. Now that this project has finally come to a close, we've learned many important skills that can be applied to future projects, not only in school but in the business world, and we'd hope that you learned something from our experience interviewing China Southern Airlines. We'd like to thank you all for listening to our project.